morning, everyone. Welcome to our first Affinity Live event. This will be a slightly different approach to our already ongoing webinars because we decided to make a discussion a little bit more dynamic and in person. So we will have our speakers, and they are already here today, and we have also a small audience of invited guests and a broader audience online because we still wanted to reach people that would be interested in our topic from anywhere and everywhere. And our topic today couldn't be more inviting to that in-person interaction because we will be talking about data and the impact data has on businesses and people evolution. How can we uncover valuable insights through data and support decision-making, and pretty much revolutionizes the way we work and live and do things. And so to bring these topics into discussion, we will have three speakers. The first speaker will be Luis Almeida. He's a senior consultant in the area of data. So he's very familiar and very experienced in giving trainings and coaching and supporting businesses and teams and people in getting more in touch with data and data literacy, and also highlighting the importance that data and data literacy have in their lives and in their businesses. And after pinpointing that topic, Carlos Paredes, who is a senior software engineer at Inotech, will then take the lead here on stage, and he will bring us some more dynamic discussions about some emerging trends and emerging topics within data, and especially focusing on AI and machine learning, and also focusing on and emphasizing on the importance of having a responsible approach to data. And to finalize the talks session, Margarida Constantino, she's our invited guest from Vasco Consults, who is our partner in this webinar, and she's a data analyst, so she's used to use data in her life and to deal with data in her life. So we wanted her to bring a little bit of a more hands-on approach, bring also her experience and case studies and any valuable insights from her own experience. And so after each talk, we will have a panel discussion, and in that discussion, so it will be an in-person discussion between the three speakers. We are already a few topics that we got together, so just so you can see also. We also have a couple of topics that we have already highlighted to be points to start off our discussion. But after those topics, you are most welcome to present any questions, insight, or any participation that you would like in our chat box on YouTube. As I said, we have a small audience here, so you are all also very welcome to present any questions or to participate in the discussion, in the panel discussion. Yes, I guess that's it from my side, and that's it from introductions. I will talk afterwards in the end of the event and of our webinar. So I'll now invite Luis Almeida to take my place, and I hope you enjoy. Obrigada.
Não preciso, mas só preciso deste. Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. First of all, I would like to congratulate Affinity for this event. I think it's a very important initiative to grow this kind of literacy of digital, and second, for the invitation, and of course for my keynotes here also to participate on that. I will try to do it in 10 minutes. It's a little difficult, but I will try. And second, the second challenge is I will try to be more or less quiet, because I know we are online, so let's try to respect that. So, the importance, we will start with this topic, the importance of data and data literacy. Okay, I know in nowadays, all days we are talking about artificial intelligence. I think in nowadays when we talk with our kids, with our family, all the people say artificial intelligence is like the movement. But I will explain the challenge. So, I think, in my opinion, it's not only my opinion, but this reference is data literacy for everybody is very important. It's like, it's everywhere. Everything we are doing at this moment have data, okay? So I will say is the new currency, and we know this information could be acquired for any provider we are working, independent if it's our own provider or not. So, and we need to be able to speak on that. So, as I mentioned, artificial intelligence is the most important, but data is like food for the humans, okay? It's proof, okay? If we don't have data, let's say artificial intelligence will not happen. So it's very important. Data is like food, okay? We will talk about the importance of the quality of data, not the amount of data. So here, I know I touch the 2 points is sustainable and competitive, because it's like also 2 buzzwords is used in all companies. And for that, I put here some notes I think is very important. Data could help the companies to be more sustainable and competitive. And not most to make better decisions, less effort and less risk, okay? And one of the priorities for all the companies is to improve the customer experience, okay? So we should use that data to know our customers, to profile that. Probably most of you use your phone, have some let's say LinkedIn or the Facebook or some stuff like that, and all the information is there, and they are using that information. And we agree with that, okay? It's free, okay? In the future, we can monetize our data, but this is another discussion we can have later. And it's important, most of the time, to check new products to improve the products the company have, okay? It's very important to use that information we have, and it's free. We get that information, it's very close most of the time, but we are not using that to improve our company, and to be also competitive on that. And of course, increase operation efficiency. I will say data literacy has become one of the skills for many workers, but I will say it's very important to have a common language in the company, because sometimes it's difficult to have the same levels for the people, so it's very important to have a common language for learning, okay? It's very important. I will say, if you have to invest on learning, okay? If you invest on data, well, you'll be better on that. I take here 2 points, because one of them is why data is important. I will not read all the steps I have right there, but I have the key driver for innovation and progress, but most of the times I saw the companies, they forgot to measure. It's very important to measure that information and identify the areas to improve, okay? So get the data, work the data, but use it, okay? It's important to measure and check, identify areas we can improve on that. The other is about the reference about what is data literacy. It's a reference by Gartner. I think all the people is more or less understand what is Gartner, but in the end of the day, I will not read all of that, but it's read, write, communicate, and understanding the data source. I have here, I think is a good definition, what is data literacy. One of them is read data, okay, I think it's clear for all. Other is work with data, analyze, but I like the last one, argument with data. Most of the people, I think, we forgot when we born, we are always asking our parents, why? Why is this? Why is that? In our days, we grow and forgot to make questions, okay? When we're talking about generative AI, the most important thing in the companies is to do the correct answers. Questions, sorry, not the correct answers, okay? So argument with data, I think is very useful to sustain the reason we are going by that way, okay? Here is some benefits. I think more or less the people is aware what are the benefits, but a quick resume: decisions with data, improve the problem solving, also productive, better communication, competitive advantage, career. It's important. It's a big difference. The people, I think Affinity have that experience. The people have more knowledge about data, have more opportunities in the world. Risk mitigation is important, and personal empowerment, and let's say this is a buzzword, data-driven innovation. I know it's more or less a key importance, but it's also important on that. I bring here in the example, I think more or less all the people is aware of that, is in Portugal is a retail, but in our days they use I know them, I work with them with some other project, but they have all our information and they use it. If someone go to the application in our app, you will see they are seeing what we buy, what we like, and they are starting to make some proposals. For that reason, they are, let's say, they focus on the customer experience. Also, they want to get the feedback from the people. If the product is good, is not good, what you prefer, what time you prefer. In this time, for example, they are working, they see how we move during the progress when we are buying, okay? They see that, okay? And not the future, I will say the present, when you enter in the store, they know what you need and where you get that information. And also, the idea is to get best and promotions to get the best retail on that. And the campaigns, okay? This is one example, is Portuguese. They work very hard here. But why they are working this? Because they understand the importance of data, and they have some initiatives internal for all the people have the knowledge and to be aware what they can bring the value, not from the company, but also for the customers. Other example, I think is important, as most of them could be, and I know we have another, let's say, companies, but here, if you see, we can buy now, for example, here to airport or some stuff like that. This is a price, but if they are always changing the price because they see the routes, you see if it's traffic, any accident or some stuff like that. And data for safety. So it's important because these kind of companies, when they born with this ADN from data. So it's normal for them, okay? And what we have here is old companies, and we need to work with them, how we need to start to work on that. Okay, but of course, we have some barriers of that. It's any company, okay? Not the big ones, it's in all, okay? First of all, is culture, okay? It's like a buzzword, but it's a company culture. Resistance to change, because it's not easy. I also say is innovation when I do some course in digital transformation, the most difficult is transformation, because most of the companies are digital. More than others, but most of them are digital. The problem is, or the difficult, or the challenge is transformation, okay? Lack of understanding, confident of that integration and share the knowledge. I see in many companies, some staff have difficult to share their knowledge with the others. And sometimes it's a good way to grow, okay? It's very easy, and more we share with the others, more we are growing, okay? It's a good way to understand the state of the art of our growth also. It's important to share that information. And as I refer, most of the people know the term big data, okay? But what's the most important is the quality of that, okay? Most of the companies are working with small data because the quality of that, okay? So it's very important, the quality, not the huge of that. Okay, but it's important of that not to bring here some challenge, but it's important, is more or less action plan. It's not a magic formula of that, but it's a way to start and to put in practice in our companies how to do that. So make a distinction between data literacy and technical, because it's different, okay? It's very important because they have some leaders don't understand the technical, and technical don't understand the leaders. We need to work together. Have a baseline with employment skills. If we don't invest in people, so we have a problem, okay? Use a common language. A culture of learning is important. We need to grow. I see many companies or many employees are waiting for the company to bring their roadmap of what is the course they need to do it. No, start by us. We should go to them and say, I want to grow, I want to do this, and it's my proposal to do it, okay? Remember, everyone learns different, it's normal, okay? But independent of that, we need to do it. I think the first step is attitude. we need to do it. Define success, because it's like our life. We are here, many people in the other life, and all have the different way to see what is said, but it's important to check on that. Other step is we need to ensure our top management and the leaders are with us, okay? This is like a big challenge as I try to work with the companies. This should come from the top, okay? It's like evangelists, ambassadors, or some stuff like that. But they need to say, yes, is to do it, okay? And know that data literacy is not enough. Okay, to finish my presentation is some facts from McKinsey. 63% response report revenue increase from AI adoption, with the average revenue increase across all the industry begin 10%. So it's not me is saying, is McKinsey, I think more or less are. And the last but not the least, 83% of companies that have implement AI achieve some benefits from its use, with the biggest benefits being improve efficiency and cost saving, okay? Only to finish my presentation. I know every part of it, let's say, news and all the people is talking about artificial intelligence. It's not a new fad, but it's a tool, okay? We should use as a tool to improve the company, reduce the costs, and increase the revenue. I think should make a big difference, because we should invest in people and data, okay? The companies should look as data is important, but please don't forget the people, okay? It's a journey, okay? We don't think it's like we start today and we have 3 months, it's done. It's a continuous journey. The goal is data, and I will say it means not the end. What is result is the focus in results. We should be oriented in results, okay? We should have a target to achieve on that. So most of the people ask us where we should start. Let's start by data. And now, yes, the last one. In the world of more data, the companies with more data literacy people are the ones that are going to win. So I will say this is very important, this information, because sometimes we focus on the other things, but it's like learning. When we're born, we go to the school, is the symbol we should improve in our companies. And for my time, thank you, and I hope everything is okay. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
To artificial intelligence, chatbots, or generative AI, not to be mistaken by artificial general intelligence. That's a different topic. I'm not going to address it now. Also known as ChatGPT. So that's what I'm going to try to answer. So a few concepts to start with. Technical concepts. So ChatGPT and the likes are large language models. These are kinds of machine learning models based on deep neural networks. That's a kind of architecture, specifically on transformer networks, transformer architectures. I'm not going to unpack all of that, just to give you an idea what the technical terms are. I'm going to try to stay out of technical depth, at least for now, if anyone has a question afterwards. So, I said deep neural network architectures. Neural networks, machine learning has been around for decades. So the digital neuron was proposed in 1943. 10 years before, Alan Turing himself talked about machines pretending to be humans. There's the famous test, the Turing test. So why 80 years since the digital neuron was proposed until we reach ChatGPT, something like ChatGPT. There's two reasons for that, two main requirements that were missing. One of them, cloud computing. Distributed computing has been around for decades, but the ability for anyone to access massive computing power was not available until we reached this cloud era. It's not just a coincidence that most cloud providers are the ones right now supporting systems like models like the large language models, ChatGPT, Bard, etc. And also, of course, like Luis referenced, data. We need a huge amount of data to train a model like an LLM, like ChatGPT. Quick reference, going a bit back to the technical terms, quick reference to the architectures themselves. So the transformers that I talked about are based on the kind of architecture called encoder-decoder architecture, also known as sec-to-sec, sequence-to-sequence. Those were proposed in 2014, and 3 years after that, after a few improvements, a paper came out proposing what is called right now the transformer architecture. This is a paper called All You Need Is Attention. If you want to search it on the internet, it has thousands of citations right now, and it's more or less considered the precursor of LLMs. So this is how we go from data to artificial intelligence in 2 minutes. What they are, general AI, chatbots, and what they are not. What they are mathematical models that excel at giving us the most likely sequence after an input sequence is given to them. That's what they do, that's all they do. They are programmed to generate answers extractable from the information they were trained on. So what I'm saying here is that what we get was already in the model, all right? Doesn't mean that it was already written somewhere. It means that it's some kind of average of what they have. We could do an entire webinar just on this sentence. They are also customized to prioritize answers that humans like, specifically chatbots. So chatbots, from all the answers that can give you, they will give you something that they were trained that you would like. This is important to understand. What they are not capable of assigning a confidence level to the answer. Notice that the confidence level is different from probability. I can be confident on what I just said. All of you could disagree with me. I would still be confident on that answer. Also, they are not constrained to give coherent or logical answers. I'm not saying the answers are not logical. I'm saying they are not constrained to give one, which means they will give you an illogical answer. I'm not going to say as often, probably not, but still with as much confidence as they give a logical one. And they are not aware of the consequences or impacts of the answer. Again, that doesn't mean that you cannot not ask for consequences. That doesn't mean that you cannot give it the constraint to take into account some consequences, but that is different from understanding the consequences of the answer, all right? What they are not. So, how to be prepared? Luis gave us some hints on that. So you should try to collect all the data you can get your hands on. Basically, generally, that's it. The usuals, you've got your sales information, bank information, employees, stocks, wherever. Also, you can think about cars, trips, offices, supplies, gifts. I'm just writing things here. Everything and anything you can get your hands on. And you don't have to write it on a paper or something. You have IoT for that, Internet of Things, so you can just have your car spitting out the information, where it is, how much it's spending in gasoline, etc. All right? How much it's spending on electricity, I should say. So thing to remember here is volume. You want a huge amount of information. as categorized as possible. So again, Luis talked about that. You should try to enrich your data as much as possible. So classify it with types, dates, stages, locations, duration, size, colors, adjectives. You know, I just came up with some of them. You should also. That's what the machine learning models like. So remember, detail. And you should not make your data available to public AI chats. So when you insert your data in ChatGPT, it's going on the internet. So you don't have your current private large language model, you will soon enough. You can use the large language models already in existence to train your own. So do not give your information away. Information is power. Decisions are made based on data. Don't give it away. What can we do already today? I'm just going to give just a few examples, mainly to give you an idea of what we can expect today and tomorrow. So the idea is not to be comprehensive. You can get that from ChatGPT. Well, maybe version 4, because the version 3.5 is outdated already. The ChatGPT and large language model, generative AI, if you like, are quite good at doing currently. They already can do this, quite good at searching patterns. This is what we still call a browser, a search engine, actually. And ChatGPT and the likes will probably replace search engines, not meaning that we will never use them again, but we will probably move into using more ChatGPT to ask a question like today we ask Google. If we want the links, we will ask for references afterwards. So they are quite good at answering questions, basically what we want from a search engine. And I just added another example there, diagnosing diseases. As you probably know, the healthcare industry is working with machine learning for years now. So the machine learning is really, actually the other way around, imaging, like for example X-rays, are really what a machine learning model likes. And the healthcare industry is already working with this kind of models for decades, like I was saying. So they are basically getting an upgrade with the LLMs. So we should expect soon enough. Actually, there are a lot of projects already going on in that area. Another thing that they can do very well today is translate text. Again, we already had it between languages, so you could use Google Translate to translate from Portuguese to English to French, wherever. But now you can also translate it to Shakespeare or to Portuguese from the north or whatever else you like. You can ask it to write something with some specific mood, all right? For a system like this, if it has enough examples, Portuguese or Portuguese with an accent is exactly the same thing, all right? And another thing you can do today is, of course, generate content. That's where generative AI comes from. That's where the G in ChatGPT comes from. And, of course, they are able to write about a specific topic and also comment on things. So you can give it a text and ask it to comment on it, give it an image, ask it to comment on it, and that's what they can do right now. That's something you get at this point. And what will be possible tomorrow? All right. So I'm not in the business of divination, so I'm not going to even try. There are people doing that right now also. So there are exciting times for that kind of work. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say that in general, this is what we will get. The systems will be able to tackle more and more tasks that right now we think require human expertise. And this is, if you think about it and just forget about ChatGPT and think about the Industrial Revolution, this applies also. It's always the same thing. We are always trying to do something more automatic that usually was done by hand. Still, a few examples. Soon in a business near you, handle repetitive tasks like taxes and payrolls. You already have that. You have some people taking care of taxes and taking care of payrolls, but still they are, I don't know, spending 1 week, 2 weeks a month, maybe a team working a full month, depending on the size of the company. So what we should get soon enough is they will have to spend 1 or 2 days instead of the entire month working on that. For example, another thing that everybody has, you have something to analyze your bank statements and your cash flow and just predict your cash flow. But it would be interesting to have some suggestions managing cash flow. Something, for example, like go call your client and tell them to pay on time, or else I will have to go to the bank and ask for a loan. Something else. Right now, you have the data, but you have to ask the guy in IT support to give you a report because the report is not done and you want something special. So you need to send an email. You could just ask in natural language and have it query with SQL language, for example, or with some kind of BI tool and get that, at least the most simple reports, we should get soon enough also. And this is the software part. When we connect the AI to robotics, again, two just random examples, cleaning and driving. Again, two things that we already have. You already have cars that can drive themselves on highways easy enough, but they have a little problems with some corner cases, pun intended. But the problem mostly is that when you're driving and you see a pedestrian, if the pedestrian stops on the sidewalk to look at his phone, it's not the same thing as if he's stopping to cross the road. Separating from these two is possible with LLMs. So we should see an improve in the ability to drive a car soon enough. And finally, cleaning the house. Again, we already have robots mapping the living room, not hitting obstacles. But for a robot, a toilet and a wall is exactly the same thing. So as soon as they can distinguish a toilet, they can start cleaning it up. It's as simple as that. All right. And that's it. Basically, that's what I have. Thank you.
So, hi, good morning. First of all, I'm Margarida. I work for Vasco Consults. So, who is Vasco? Just a little introduction about us. So, we have offices in the Netherlands, and we've been there since 2017, but we're also in Portugal since last year. Our mission is clear. We simplify the complex and make our customers' journey easier. Our approach is collaborative partnership and simplification, and we do this by sharing knowledge and effective communication. So investing in data. What if you could spot potential problems in your supply chain so you could reroute goods or even use different suppliers? So big data enables you to do this. Many companies already think of themselves as data-driven. They have invested in BI technologies. They already hired a team of data experts. But are they really making decisions based on this data? So what are the benefits of using data analysis? So data analysis is the process of turning data into valuable insights. This allows business users to ask their own questions without relying on a team of IT experts or using SQL. However, it does rely on the expertise of these business users to know which actions to take based on the answers that the data gives them. So let's take traditional methods as an example, like paper surveys. They are slow to make insights. The sample sizes are too small for accurate data. So data analysis revolutionizes this. Now we can make smarter decisions, save money, and even offer better products or services. So it's also important to understand what are the trends that are revolutionizing data analysis and how are they revolutionizing the way we work daily. So organizations are now starting to use more AI and machine learning to make smarter decisions. There are growing concerns about data privacy and data regulations. That's when it enters the GDPR. And it makes it easier for everyone to make their decisions based on data, even those who are not so much tech-related. So, and how does data works across different industries? Let's take financial services as an example. So they use data so they can track how people are spending their money and even prevent frauds. The HR departments can use data to find good employees, make them happy, and even make sure that everyone is being paid fairly. Online retailers use data for customized user experience. They are setting prices, and they even make suggestions of things that you might like. So why it is important for everyone to have data skills? So imagine data literacy as a language. So if everyone speaks this language, we improve communication, and our work is more successful. So if we take our team to be more data-driven, we are giving them the tools to succeed and also help us succeed our company and make us even more ahead of our competitors. So we also brought a case study about Netflix. Everybody knows Netflix. Everybody knows that Netflix is a company that knows our preferences better than we do. So they use data analysis to create a viewing history of things you might like. They are constantly changing their interface to keep you engaged. By anticipating what viewers might want to do, they also can keep ahead of their competitors on the streaming services. A cool fact about Netflix is that in 2013, they made a very successful series named House of Cards. This was a huge hit at the time, mainly because of data analytics. So they created an algorithm to predict the popularity based on the subject matter and the appeal of some of the actors. We also brought a case study of a real client of ours. This client sells ingredients worldwide. They wanted to improve their operations to be more efficient. So we implemented data analytics. With this, they were able to check how their suppliers were doing, if their products were still top-notch. And the results of this was they got better ingredients, happier customers, and an overall more effective operation. We do, however, found some errors in the data, because the supplier's name was a thing that it was manually input. So two people don't have the same terminology for the same company. So what we did, we created an algorithm to help them. We created an algorithm in base of criteria usage, where we got to clean like 30% of our business, of our supplier's name. We did this by grouping similar, and we could, clean the suppliers. So cultivating a data-driven company. So your team now can answer their own questions. You can see what's happening with your data. You quickly turn data into insights because you no longer have to wait for long reports. You can now have access to reports that are more interactive, where, for example, you could use Power BI for this, where you have graphs that are interactive, where you can drill down to find the answers you need, and you don't ever need to use static slides and make a boring meeting, I guess. So what are our recommendations for being a data-driven company? You should start with strong leaders who are passionate about data, who are motivated to motivate the other employees to use data. You should set clear goals and numbers to measure how you're doing, and look at them very closely to understand things better. Invest in collecting data from various sources, and prioritize data collection errors, because they will happen. You should also teach everyone in your team to understand data and use it on their daily work. Always learn from what works and what doesn't, and use this to understand things better and to push yourself forward. And remember, data analysis is a never-ending work, so prioritize rigorously. So we have our contacts here in case you need to know a little more about ourselves and about the team. And this is what we have for today. Thank you. Eu deixo aqui.
Okay, so we are in the second part. So first of all, thank you for the presentation. So I think now it's the time to have a little discussion. It's open, okay? Don't be afraid. Independently, we know we have some people here, other in live, but let's start. So I have the first question. I think is the most, let's say, I received, but I probably also would like to discuss. All the people is talking about impact in AI, let's say in the AI labor market. What is your opinion? Because most of the people say the jobs will be, let's say, disappear, most of them. Should we start? I prefer the woman, I think it's better.
Sure. So I think there are some works that eventually will disappear, like people will have tedious tasks that are repetitive. I think AI will help them, eliminate these jobs. However, it will be created another kind of jobs because we need to have people who will be able to develop the AI, to maintain the AI. So basically, we will have a shortage of some of the jobs, but it will be creating a new one. So it never ends.
Okay. Carlos, what is your opinion?
Well, yeah, my opinion is the same. I think that's more or less what will happen for sure in the short term, at least, short, medium term, like we did with the Industrial Revolution, like we did when Internet and the dot-coms, etc., appeared. But since she already answered the short-term part, we can also think a little bit about the long-term part. Because depending on where AI will progress, we may find ourselves at a point when most of the jobs are done by artificial intelligence and the robots. So if that time comes, we will probably see a shift in terms of economical configuration, let's say. So I told you before that I'm not in the definition business, but still you could think about something like, imagine whatever is very well paid right now will be done automatically, which means that there will be no more driver to pay those people. So the money will have to go somewhere else. I'll give you a short example. For example, there are people right now working on generating movies, digital movies that are completely realistic. If you actually listen to some of them, and of course we have to be careful, but if you listen to some of them, they say that they can do right now, so this is a current technology, not tomorrow, that right now they can do short sections of video with up to, let's say, 1, 2, 3 minutes. Which, if you think about it, I don't know anything about movie editing, but if you think about it, you can create an entire movie with that, just edit it. We can ask the guys doing the support how that works, but still, you only need coherence between the different snippets of video. Like if you have someone with, which is blonde with blue eyes in one of them, that person has to continue having blue eyes and be blonde unless they paint their hair or something. It has to have coherence. That's, from their perspective, the difference. Where I'm going to go with this is you don't need to pay Tom Cruise to appear in a movie. So where does his billions go? I don't know.
Okay, so I have the same opinion. So I think in general, AI have a huge impact in our work. It's not in the future, it's in the present. But of course, in my personal opinion, I think the people will not adopt this kind of technology. Of course, we will have more difficulty in the future to have some kind of these opportunities. We should look, as Carlos has just referred about revolution, always that happened. Imagine 100 years ago when someone see fire. Well, it's like some set like that. Some guy looks and said, this is fire, man. What is happening? Here is the same. Okay, we are, like Gartner said, we are in the hype of artificial intelligence. Okay, so we should get that movement, should invest in learning. It's important. Also, I know I'm always repeat this word, but this is the good way to improve our skills. And why not to see another opportunities in our career? So we should look on that as positive. Of course, there are other things, will be some other kind of impacts. I have these questions for here, but I think we should adopt that in our, let's say, not in personal as professional, but we should look also as our personality career in the future. So the second question I have here is about, let's say, when some organization consider to adopt this kind of technology, like AI or that, they have challenge, of course. What do you think are the biggest one, and what could be the best ways to, let's say, to mitigate that? It's a huge question, I know, but let's try to answer as simple as possible.
Okay, so you already talked a little about this, because one of the main issues that companies have when they are trying to be data-driven is they have a lack of data. So they don't, I mean, they have data, but they don't have the necessary data to make reporting, for example. What they could do to improve this is collect data from different sources. They can do partnerships with other companies so they can arrange more data. Also, a big problem with this is in the market, it's hard to find people who have the skills needed to do the data work that needs to be done before getting to the point of a business user can actually take their insights. So I think there are many challenges company faces. All of them have a solution. You just have to look for it, and yeah.
Okay, Carlos. Yeah, that's true. And there's also something that we should, I mentioned it that we needed cloud computing and the internet to train LLM models. And the people might think that they would need some kind of equivalent computing power and data dimension in their own organizations to explore that. But that is not correct. That was needed for the LLM models. Now, what we can do today is use those models and, let's say, extend the training for our data. That will require a lot less data, all right? Still, we want to have the data, but we do not have to go through the entire training of the LLM. So this is exactly the challenge right now. In one hand, this is practical. The challenges are to be able to take advantage of the data you have. And then you have another challenge, taking advantage of the LLMs, and that you will find multiple. This is the perfect time for startups. So if you want to do a startup on this business, it's the perfect time. Join the other thousands that already started, especially in the United States. But still, in practical terms, you do not require that much data. You can use the power of the already trained LLMs. So it will not be that complicated. It will require, of course, expertise.
Okay, I will increase some points. Is about the challenge. One of the big challenges in my is people, humans. Okay, so it's the organization is done by humans. So I know most of the people talk about data, but independent of that, by one way or that, the company will get that information. Okay, but one of them is human people. Okay, so we should talk and invest in persons, people, invest in literacy, of course. Should invest and let's say invest time to look to the process in the company. It's very important to look all the process because that, in the end of the day, is technology. Technology independent if it's AI, blockchain. If you remember last 1 year, some stuff like that. Probably we'll do this event in Metaverse or some stuff like that. But now it's real. We are here, and some are in live. So it's technology is up to date. So it's humans, let's say people, data, technology, and I can also bring that, the importance to have quality of data and not quantity. I know most of the people, and not most important is culture, and it's very important to have a plan, okay? We should have a plan, and we should think bigger, but start small, okay? We should be, let's say, ambassadors to prove to other people it's possible to do it. Start little, some automation phase, and after that, put some intelligence process on that. Then we should put some dashboards. And why not that in that, let's say, phase to start with artificial intelligence. So it's more or less what I would like to share. But independent of that is, if I can say in the people, what you are seeing in the next, if it's possible, if you are a futurist, but we are not in the moment, what you think the role of the people who are working with this kind of technology, what you think will be the big challenge, and let's say what they, not say always the challenge, but see as an opportunity. I think it's important to see it like that.
Well, in 5 to 10 years, we will have a lot more data. The things will start to be a little more complex. What we do now will be completely different than we will be doing in the next 5 years. I mean, I think a main asset that you should have for the next 5 years is invest in talent, invest in education, because things will be more complex, new tools will appear, you will need to learn and how to adapt to a new technology that will let you do the analysis of a huge workflow, a huge data. So I think those are the main challenge, because as I said previously, right now we already have on the market few people that are able to do a work from beginning to end. So I think in the next 5 years, we will still have the same issue. They will start appearing new technologies, and we just need to adapt and keep pushing on education and on talent acquisition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Also, I would say that right now, anybody can just log into ChatGPT and ask something and comment on the answer. So you will get an answer for sure. You can get other answers. I don't know if you try to regenerate the answer. It sounds strange, right? Because if you ask someone a question, I'm not expecting you to give me a different answer right now to the same question, right? Please rephrase what you just said. Actually, it's not rephrase, it's regenerate, so it could be something completely different. But the thing is, try to ask it something specific that you need it to do. It's not that easy. even if we go into very, let's say, simple things that you could probably find doing a Google search. It's not that easy. That's why there's a new, we are talking about, the first question was about jobs disappearing. There's a new job called prompt engineer. If you heard about it, it's highly paid. If you search for it, it's 300K in the United States. This is per year. To be a prompt engineer. What's a prompt engineer? Prompt comes from making a question. That's it. It's an engineer that makes questions. That's what they pay them for. Asks questions to the likes of ChatGPT. So asking it a question is worth 3K a year. So it's not that easy, and I think what we will see is exactly that. It will be a progress, people will adapt. Some people will be able to make the trillion-dollar business from it, the Elon Musks of the time, in 5 or 10 years. We don't know. It will be something for sure that the public will be able, the consumer will be able to give money for. That is going to be the real driver, all right? So we are just talking about automation, intelligence, whatever, but the driver will be money. If people have money to spend and want to spend it on something, that's the thing that it's going to be the big thing in 5 or 10 years. I don't know what it is. I wish I knew. We all would. But yeah, it's not that easy, but it will be transforming. I think we can say that for sure.
Well, I will take these two notes that if you see in the Netflix, for example, let's just refer that, for example, they have an opportunity for a product manager with some experience in AI, 900K per year. Okay, it's like $1 million per year, more or less like that. So it's very difficult. For example, if I say to someone, probably will say, last meeting I have with responsible of commerce, but it's possible that? Yeah, it's possible. It's open. Anyone could see that opportunity in the internet. And as Carlos referred, most of the people will see the importance of doing correctly. If you want to get quality in the answers, the quality of the answer. Yes, of the question, sorry. Okay? So the important is, also as Carlos is referring, is about the money. At the moment, we have a big fight by USA and, of course, China about who have the best guys in the world working on that. China, for example, I have a friend in China, is saying they are paying a lot to bring the best guys in the universities from USA to stay there. Oh, if they want to go into Bahamas or some stuff like that, they don't have problem, but they want the best guys. So, and also another place like Israel, I have opportunity to talk with someone. They are investing more or less similar than United States of America. So we have big movements. It's difficult to say what will happen, of course, in 5-10 years, but I think it's a good reason to put in our, let's say, objectives, let's say, is important to improve. Independent if it's with AI or other stuff like that. We should think who stop in the education, who have a big problems in the future, and to have better opportunities and to do another stuff they would like to do it. But I have another question here, but if someone wants to make a question, don't be afraid of that. But I will...
question here.
Good. Of course, one second.
Well, good. It's here. Good morning. First of all, thank you for your sharings. And I was thinking about the first question about the new reality, some positions that will disappear, probably others that will appear. And I remember a podcast that I was hearing yesterday that probably we are thinking about the future, but the future is already here. That was a startup, and the owner was talking that replace the CEO position with ChatGPT. And my question is, how far are we going with the technology and artificial intelligence? Because we are not talking anymore about repetitive tasks. We are talking about creative thinking, decision making, other type of skills.
Okay, so let me just say, I think that's a little bit more about ethics and how we perceive the AI, because the way I see it is you still need to have the human touch for a CEO to run a company, but you can use AI to help you with your decisions. So if I'm analyzing a complex thing, I know that AI can actually respond to my question in a simple way. So I think we will start using AI more like a Google, because Google also appeared a couple years ago when people started having these conversations, and what it turned out to be is just that. People use it to respond to complex questions and help them with their daily work.
Well, I wouldn't be so optimistic if I understand your question correctly. I think, well, yeah, again, we don't know what's coming. There is a concept that I mentioned regarding AGI, which means artificial general intelligence, and there's also a concept known as ASI. This is going to get scarier by the acronym, which is artificial superintelligence. And the last scary one, especially if you like Terminator, is what it's called the singularity, which is having a conscience, so being aware. All right, which is something that we humans have. I have. I'm assuming you all have. Just because you behave like me, but I have no clue if you do actually have it, or you're just pretending, or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, so what's the difference between AI and AGI, ASI, and the singularity? The difference is the autonomy and what you mentioned, the originality of what comes out. I mentioned that we could do a webinar on that sentence that we are getting what the system knows. Right now, there's no originality. We could discuss this. Let's not go into that. But right now, I'm just stating there's no originality. What you're getting is, at best, an average of what it knows. So I'm not scared right now. That's not AGI. So if we reach, or I should say when we reach AGI, AGI will be something closer to what a human does. And we will know it's AGI because it will discover the cure to cancer or whatever. So something that nobody knows. So it's not an average of what you get. Will it replace CEOs? Well, I think it depends on the kind of company that you're building, because right now it's also, can I be a CEO? Do I want to? It really depends on the business. Will I be able to build my own company and just have it completely digital? That already exists, so it will be easier. So in that sense, yes. I think it really depends on the company, on the people you have. If you have nobody, for example, so she said, and it's correct, so if you have to interact with people, you will probably need people. I'm going to say probably, because, you could also like your smartphone better than your psychologist. But anyway, but if you have nobody working for you that is not digital, then you probably don't need a human manager. So, yeah, that's... But I'm just speculating, so you can just ignore everything I just said.
Yeah, I know João, I know the project, so I think, as Carlos is referring, we have three, four types of artificial intelligence. Now what we have here is NI, so it's the artificial intelligence is focused in one specific problem, okay? What we are doing now is more or less like that. What we are asking, let's say when we have some kind of debates, is like AGI, it's like they think like humans, and we have several people, if it's 5 years, 10 years, it's difficult to answer, but I believe it will happen probably during our lives here, I hope, okay? So in the other phase is about super intelligence, but I can share with you, it's because they share with us, is OpenAI, as probably is connected to the ChatGPT. They are working this in ASI and consciousness, like singularity. They are working on that. So I believe if they have money to invest, that will happen. And we have a case about in Google happens when some guy was, let's say, go like that. So, and the difference is in that project is a startup. Okay, we can do anything. Okay, we can experiment. They have, but the difference is they have open mind. Okay, and sometimes when we have big companies, that's the reason I refer in my presentation is about, we talk about digital transformation, but I'll say the difficulty is transformation. Because most of the companies have difficult to open to the experimentation of doing things. Most of us here, when we go to the school, was not accept to fail. Okay, it's like if you say, I have failed this and that, someone who looks at you and say, this guy is failed. One thing I would like to share, I go to more or less three months. I have been in Silicon Valley with a friend of mine. He presents a pitch to the investors, everything, business plan, everything you can imagine. And when he finished the presentation, the guy, one of the big investors, make one single question. He asked how many companies they have just burnout. And the guy say, I have just not burnout, so I don't have more questions. So he's open to have people with resilience and the experience to stand up and continue. So it will happen, but I think we should leave what we have now. Okay, sometimes we are concerned what the future. Stay, focus, and let's say enjoy the life.
Thank you. And basically, in this case, I think is more a support for decision making than other thing. But one thing that Carlos mentioned was the risks to share and to ask, because when asking, we are also sharing information related with our business, and we have some companies already blocking the access to BART, ChatGPT, or other chatbots because of that risk to share information about our business. So what type of recommendations do you have to don't block the usage? Because the usage, in my opinion, is also important for business and for talent management. However, we also have the risk because structure with a headcount with the hundreds of people, we cannot control everything that is being shared.
I can share one example. It's public. It's, for example, Bosch. Bosch is, as Carlos referred, they are creating your, let's say, Bosch ChatGPT. Okay, so the idea is to be more integrated. Okay, so the reason is important because, as Carlos has referred, the people when we are, let's say, working with Bard or some stuff or ChatGPT or some stuff like that, we are putting our information public, and the companies say, please have some concerns about that. For that reason, they are creating their own system to try to, let's say, to mitigate. But it's difficult, okay? It's difficult because in the end of the day, most of, let's say, cybersecurity things or some stuff like that on AI, the question is, most of the people, okay, the companies are investing on that, but the problems we have, and most of our Portuguese companies are public, are because they fail the basic things, basic. And with the pandemic, when it opened this, most of the, let's say, the employees are in the same, let's say, in the same place, okay? And one day, it says all the people now start working home, and we don't have VPN, firewalls, and some stuff like that, and the other stuff. So it's important to have a culture, to have leaders, to have a literacy on that, and probably most of them is, I think, is the most important. Don't create solutions until first understand what is the problem. We should understand very clear, because sometimes I see many people, many companies invest in technology, good technology, but I start with, okay, what is the problem? And to do things and sets and so, but this is another discussion, but the important is understand very clear what is the problem we are trying to solve, okay?
Yeah, I totally agree with Luis. I mean, you need to understand the data privacy also of your company. That's why, as I mentioned, you have the GDPR rules. So, yeah.
There's a funny aspect in that, which is, let's imagine that Google search or whatever, a search engine, is going to be replaced by ChatGPT. Again, I don't know if it's going to be replaced, but we are probably going to move some of the questions. We already do some of the questions move into ChatGPT. So the funny part is this one. ChatGPT or LLMs are trained on information that is public on the internet. And the reason why we have huge amount of information on the internet is because we have a drive. And when I say we, it's not me specifically, I have nothing on the internet, but lots of people have drives to publish stuff on the internet. And most importantly, they want to have it show up in the first position of the Google search or whatever search engine you're using. At least in the top 10, because nobody clicks next, right? So if we start using ChatGPT for search, that means that people will not have the drive to create internet pages, which means that these large language models will stop having information. So where will they learn? And the answer is probably they will learn from other LLMs. And why do other LLMs have more information? Because we ask them stuff and we talk to them, let's say. All right? So, in your case, for example, you have the private company information, but you also want your clients to ask ChatGPT something about the company, and ChatGPT being able to answer something about your company, because that's you cannot create a search page anymore because nobody will search for it, right? So you want ChatGPT to know, which means that you will have to tell your LLM something about your company. But you also tell your LLM everything else about your company, right? So now you have to tell your LLM to separate between your private information and the stuff you want to make available to the public. And where exactly, if I give you a model of the deep neural network with all the neurons, where exactly is the information that is private? And well, it's exactly like in your brain, right? So you don't have your private information on the left side, so there's no way to, limit it with a firewall like we do today, because we do that today. It's technical, but yeah, you have something behind. Everybody knows what a firewall is, right? So it's either on one side or the other. Still, you need a hacker to go through it, right? But if it's an LLM and it's your LLM, I don't know. I'm just raising lighting the fire.
I think one note is important is I forgot to refer is about data governance. It's important to have. I see many companies to implement initiatives, but don't have. Probably they say, please talk with the guy from IT, and the guy from IT have everything. Okay, it comes from data, Google, cloud, other stuff. So it's printers. So it's important to have some kind of data governance in this area, because it's important to understand who is the shareholders, who is the responsible, how we will get that data, what we will do with that in the future, what kind of ethics and other stuff like that we should do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. I have 2 questions. One similar to another one that was made, which is people are more and more reluctant nowadays to give information when they are asked to do it. But they are willing to do if they are on social media or some other place. But given this, let's go to the extreme, the medical context. People are very reluctant to say, are you going to give me your X-ray results, even if it's anonymized, for me to analyze and to learn about it? And people say, no, it's mine, I will not give. Most, I would say more than 90% of people will not share medical information. But imagine if it is a son of the person that is saying no. Will it matter if it is a digital system to find a cure to his son's disease? Or a human? Will that matter? Most people probably would say, no, that doesn't matter at all. I want a cure. I don't care if it is a human or a robot. I want a cure for that. So, in your opinion, what are the probably strategic political decisions or awareness that should exist to make people aware that their contribution is essential to develop these kind of systems. AI will not live without information, like it is said. So how will motivate people to share their information? Because more and more pages will go away, web pages will go away, we have questions and answers. But what about these systems learning from real cases? This is first question. The second one, related to this one. Nowadays, data quality is very important, but it is simple, I would say, in most cases, to do it. Like it was said, a provider name. Provider name, it's ABC, the other one is ABC _1, and so on. It's easy to go and say ABC is the name. But nowadays, in this reality, I can flood a system and provoke a denial of service with wrong data, with fake data. Not ABC or ABC _1 or so on. I would say fake statements to feed these kind of systems, and I will, in purpose, put a system aware of something that is not real. I will inject my own data to fake the system, and the system will understand what I'm saying, but it is not true. So data quality, how will it evolve to distinguish right data from wrong data? Because it's no more like ABC or ABC _1. It's a lot more complex. How will it evolve in your opinion?
Well, I can start. All right, so the first question, if I understood correctly, how are we going to convince people to give their data away, let's say? I would say that in some specific cases, if I have a guarantee that it will be anonymous, it won't be a problem. I'm not sure, but it's like you said, so people will make a fuss about giving their citizens cards at an hotel or something, but they will put all the information on Facebook or wherever. It's true, but if people are convinced and understand that information is it's not important that it's their information, all right? If you can tell people that the system really doesn't care about them, they just care about this X-ray tells me that you have a broken bone, doesn't matter if it's you or someone else, I think people will not care. That's my understanding of the thing. Also, I'm not sure exactly what happens after I do an X-ray at an hospital, what they do with the X-ray. They give me a copy, I don't care about it, don't even know how to read it, right? But it's going somewhere. So I would just say that, not really sure, but let's say people that are training LLMs or whatever will find a way to get the information. I'll just say that. Regarding the second question, I just lost myself in with this.
Is about data quality.
Oh yeah, data quality. So that's actually, it's funny that you ended your question with what is correct or real or something or not. And I would start by giving the question back to you. How do you know that something is correct or real or not? Actually, we are at a point in time where you have, actually with COVID, we had a lot of that, where you have the science being weighted against whatever. So you just, somebody took some pill that's used on horse intestines or whatever, and people were evaluating it as if it was, you know, the same thing. Right? So you have science and you have some guy taking horse medicine. And I'm not sure, let me think about it, right? So I don't even know. And actually I'm giving this argument as if I could trust science more than the other guy, and I'm going to do that myself, but still I understand the question, is it real? I know that science, there was this video on the internet the other day explaining or stating that everything, 90% of the science is wrong. Which is correct, right? Because science is always progressing. So what you have right now are things that are going to be improved, so they are wrong. Yeah, we could say that. Yeah, they are wrong. The level of wrong, that's what I was going with this, and to answer your question. The level of wrongness is the issue here. And because of that, it's very hard to tell the system, because that's what we need to say right now, right? If you are programming in C#, you can just do if underscore is in the string, just ignore it, right? But now you have to train the LLM to ignore stuff with underscores. Plus, you don't know if it's the underscore is the problem. So you can try and say ignore everything that is wrong, but then we go back to the other issue. So that's a real issue, that's for sure. It's complicated. What I would say is, what I said before, I want my LLM trained by me with my reality. I think that's the safe space for that. And then I have my stuff, and then I have something else and the public stuff, and I will be very careful. I will not connect my LLM to the public. That's for sure. Never, probably. I will die soon enough. I'm guessing people will do that for me. But I think that's, at least until we come up with some other way to evaluate rightness, I would go with in this direction. I don't think there is an easy answer to that.
Go.
Okay. So I think he made a really good point about both of the questions. Related to the first one, I mean, we already gave our data. If I want to have a card for a regular client, I will give them all my data. And they will fill my inbox full of random advertisements. But we don't care about this. We just simply gave it. So I think if people, it's what he was saying. I think if people kind of understand that the company doesn't actually care about you as an individual, people won't, it won't matter if I gave them my information. I mean, I'm just a regular person, so what are they going to do with me? So related to the second question, that's actually a really good question. I'm going to give you like a real example of one of our clients. As I said in my presentation, we did create an algorithm for the supplier's name. I mean, I can think the supplier's name is ABC. You can think it's ABC_1, right? So what we needed to have for the quality assurance of this was someone in that company to tell us what the actual name is. So I can say it's ABC, you say ABC_1, but the owner of that company say, no, it's Z. So we need to have a close relationship also with the person who actually knows the business, so we can have the data quality and have the data accuracy for everything.
Okay, so let me try to answer to the two questions. So the first one, I think, is about, let's say, data sharing. In the end of the day, it's not a new business, but in the USA it's normal. The people is selling their data, okay? It's like data monetization, okay? Of course, I'm not a celebrity, but if I am a celebrity, I can sell my data to some companies, and I can win some money on that. So, but let's say, if I'm not a celebrity, it's my case, in this case, what will happen to the people share that information? I think that the companies will start to share very clear the communication about the purpose of that information. So is the purpose, they need to explain, if they explain for me, Luis, can you give your information because we are working in a cancer or some stuff like that, probably will be more easy to that person to identify with that cause and then share that information. About the second, about the data quality, I think now we have most of the, let's say, machine learning, these algorithms, we have the explain AI. So it's like the black box we have. No one understands what they are doing there. And the explain AI is trying to help to understand what is the real, let's say, right they are doing. So to understand if it's the quality of that is not good or not, I think we have more or less three phases. One is to identify, again, what is the problem we are working. Second, look, let's say, what is our objectives to achieve with this problem? What is the results? And after that, independent of what we are saying here, like, we need to check the results. We need to see if the results resolve the issue or not. If they resolve, probably the quality of data will be good. And understanding the reason of the algorithms is using with Explain AI will be some kind of support if we are doing by this way or by that way. So it's more or less like that. It's more or less a purpose. Understand very quick, understand the problem, objectives, the results, and work to the workflow. I think we are done. So.
And I feel like we could be here talking for another hour. I guess the people present can still change a few insights and thoughts and discuss a little bit more of these topics. And for anyone at home and that is following this webinar live, you can also submit any queries or participate in any form. We are an IT consulting company, so for any also business queries or for any support with your data issues, please contact us. And lastly, I want to thank very much our speakers, Margarida, Carlos, and Luis, for being with us today for this wonderful discussion, and also for all of you present here today, and also for everyone that is watching us online. So thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next opportunity. Thank you. Ai, desculpa. Posso sair? Fiquei na dúvida, se calhar dei passinho.